a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-da-da, sha-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, la, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Fuck.
All right, put down your pens, put down your pencils, step away from the keyboards and settle in for a very special Valentine's Day episode of the Writer's Block. First and foremost, allow me to thank Don and Sally Wright for giving birth to me, because without that magical moment, none of this would be possible. Also, let me thank Muddied Waters Media for allowing me to do this show. And as always, thank you to Grassroots Kava House for the kava that I get to luckily drink every day of my life and on this show. To everybody above, I say, Bula Vinaka. I put that one in the fridge, which is amazing because it's cold and it's not like slightly room temperature. And that just makes it so much better. Also, let me thank the Narcissist Cookbook for the music that I play at the beginning and end of every episode. And if you all are looking for a very, very special treat, if you go visit the Narcissist Cookbook on YouTube, you can listen to him do a completely legal reading of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. I have actually fallen asleep to it numerous times. It's great. You get to hear like this portly British ginger read slightly Christian books to you. Allow me to thank Mr. Jason Lyon, Jason Lyon, for coming on my show today. He is the host of the show, Mr. Murica, the Bearded Truth. Jason, what is going on, buddy?
Oh, man, not a whole lot. Thank you for having me. I mean, Valentine's Day special, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean...
Thank you for being mine, I guess, you know?
You know? You are my very special Valentine today. It was funny because, like, when I was, like, trying to find somebody to do this episode, everybody's like, when is it? I'm like, Thursday? And they were like, Thursday? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, that's Valentine's Day. And I was like, is it? Oh.
Who needs love? It's 2019.
Right.
You just need to have a good show, have a good time.
Exactly. We all have computers. Love's out there. The government's going to start putting up paywalls for it.
Don't talk about Hawaii like that. Oh, man. Yeah. What is this world coming to, man? What is this entire country coming to?
It is absolutely my favorite thing ever. This entire country has absolutely just... it doesn't know what's going on anymore, and I love it. It's the most entertaining time in American history. It has to be. I can't imagine anything better than this. I
couldn't imagine anywhere else in having a having a society built so much around technology, being like, you know what, history, we don't need you anymore. We're not going to listen to you. We're not going to learn your lessons. We're just going to do our own thing and just hope that, you know, we don't repeat the mistakes of the past.
Right. We're, what is it? Those who refuse to remember the past are doomed to repeat it, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have tossed that just right out the window. We don't give any craps about that. It's, oh no, we're going to bury all of this. We're going to push it so far down. It's going to be like a drunk Irish man with his feelings. And then eventually it's all just going to come bursting back, and somebody's going to go, we told you this would happen.
Well, it wasn't done by the right person before,
right.
Of course.
Right.
Oh man.
Oh.
I think it was Thomas Sowell, and I'm certainly going into one specific political point with this, but to ignore the failures and the devastation and the atrocities that is socialism, to advocate for it, you're not ignorant. You're actually like somewhat of an intellectual to be able to go around all of that, the gross amount of information, and that just really speaks to, I would say, more the American society, but as a world altogether as well.
Oh yeah. I read that quote the other day. I actually read it to my dad because he didn't know who Thomas Sowell was, and I was like, Dad, I'm gonna read one quote. And it was that quote, and he was like, yeah, that's accurate. Who is this guy? I was like, he's a libertarian, kind of like political economic guy, and he was like, all right, I'll read some of him. I was like, yes, I'm bringing
one of the best, probably one of the best economists alive to this day, or right now.
Easily, he and Walter Williams are two of my favorite living economists today. That's why I went to George Mason University, so I could study under Walter Williams. But then I found out drugs are fun, and that does not really play into going to economics class.
Just a little marijuana never hurt no one.
A little marijuana did not ever hurt. It wasn't the marijuana that hurt anybody. It was everything else. Woo! I am feeling lively today. But so you are the host of Mr. Murica, the Bearded Truth, which people can find on the old Twitter and Periscope and
the YouTube land.
The YouTube land. And
maybe one day back to the YouTube world. We'll see.
Right. So how is it that you got into being libertarian? I think you're a libertarian. Libertarian. I don't know. Like, I hate identifying people as libertarians because most of the people that are libertarians don't identify with being a member of the party that I know. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm like, are you a libertarian? And a lot of people are like, no. And I get that, but
yeah, I can get into both of those real quick. So how I got into libertarianism. So I got into politics probably 3 years, 4 years ago at most. Started getting into it because I had a guy on the submarine that I was stationed on when I was in the Navy, and he was left-leaning. He was a big Bernie bro. He was a big supporter of that whole entire like just socialist movement. And I was like, you're just a smug asshole. So I've got to like do research and figure out like how to just destroy your argument. So I got into politics from there, and then I started reading, and I was just like, I started off as a Republican, as a conservative. You know, my entire family was that way. And I started reading it and started like, I never just read one ideology. I always read the counters. And I'm like, you know, you could see the hypocrisy. You could see the fear mongering, the hatred and everything else. And I was like, that's not me. You know, I believe in the freedom of the individual. I believe in freedom, much like what the founding fathers did. And so I was like, I can't really identify with that. Started learning about the history of the Constitution, learning about the Constitution itself, fell in love with the idea of absolutely limiting the government in every way, and found Christiane Hall. I was brought into the liberty movement by Jason Stapleton, and transitioned from there. And it's what brought me to being a libertarian was being consistent being consistent on all matters really brought me to the idea that government sucks. Let's bring the power back to the people. And so I was always an independent libertarian. I knew I was a libertarian, but I wasn't involved with the party at all. And I started getting involved. If you guys know who Liberty in the South is, I got involved with some of the admins there. Got on the panel, got on the board, and was helping produce content, getting involved there. And Shane Sweeney, one of our South Carolina's second vice chair, he got in touch with me. He was also from Liberty in the South, and I had him on the show. And he was like, yo, man, why are you an independent? Why aren't you fighting for liberty? Why aren't you actually doing something? And so he broke me down. And last year I actually joined the party. So card carrying libertarian.
Yeah. I mean, when I first moved here to Florida, like we were talking about before we started, I joined the Libertarian Party down here, and I got pretty involved. I started working on some campaigns down here. We were right in the middle of a special election for House of Representatives in my district, and so I got really involved in that campaign. Mm-hmm. And I ended up climbing the ranks of the Pinellas County chapter of the Libertarian Party here in Florida, and I got in my I was the secretary, then the treasurer, then the vice chair, and then anybody who kind of knows about Florida Libertarian Party knows about some stuff that happened a few years ago, and some people who were accused of being racist, and I'm not going to say that those people would be wrong in saying that because they are probably correct when they were talking about those people. And so I ended up just leaving the party because I was like, I'm not down with being. I already have the haircut. I'm blonde and I have blue eyes. I don't need to be associated with these people any more than I already am just by people looking at me.
That's the biggest struggle, I think. And sorry to take this off the rails a little bit, but the biggest problem with the Libertarian Party is not the philosophy. And I'm sure we've all seen the memes where it's like, gorgeous women lined up and it's like libertarian philosophy. And then there's a girl in the background, like eating chips and just like looks fugly would be an accurate statement, I would say. And this, like, those are the politicians. Those are the people that people focus on, and it just destroys the entire thing. And so I don't blame you for not wanting to be involved.
Yeah. And then, by that point I was already doing the show. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think I was doing the show, but I figured out that I can spread the message of liberty doing this in a way that I absolutely really enjoy doing. And I'm not being essentially bullied into supporting candidates that I don't like or I don't trust or who aren't actually libertarian. I can support whatever candidate actually aligns with whatever values that I have. And that's where the beauty of not being aligned with a party is. Because, the libertarians, they say, they're like, oh yeah, Republicans only vote Republican and Democrats only vote Democrat. And, they need that other option. But if you're a libertarian, they essentially bully you into voting for libertarians just because no matter how terrible of the candidate they are. And I was just like, no, I'm out. I can't do this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, so I'm actually running for either vice chair or chair coming up in May for Greenville County. And that's the one thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be vetting them. I'm going to be like, look, it's a libertarian. I don't care. Let's look into them. Are they a good person? Are they a good liberty person? Right. Bill Weld comes into my county and is like, I'm running as a libertarian. I'll be like, sorry, bro. You can ex-nay yourself because NODA, we have to, if we're going to be a functioning entity, we actually have to have values and make sure that who we're supporting has the same or similar values.
Exactly. And that's been the biggest issue that we've had. I will say that we had a gubernatorial candidate here in Florida, Adrian Wiley. I know him, great guy. He carries true libertarian values. Now he's gone completely anarchist, so I'm not sure the libertarians would let him run anymore. But I don't have a problem with it. You do you,
yeah.
You do you, Adrian. I'm totally happy with it. We actually back in 2014 we had Adrian Wiley and Bill Wolsifer. That's weird. I should have known that one. He was my boss for years. Bill Wolsifer, who ran for attorney general, and then Lucas Overby. And all of them at the time were very strict libertarians, and they all were able to speak it, and they all looked the political part. They weren't out there, they weren't out there leading with the hookers and the blow like other candidates tend to like to do. Like you can't start there with people. That's just that's not going to work.
You got to make it palpable, or not palpable. You got to make it digestible.
Right.
I've used that word wrong twice now. Like I don't know why that word keeps popping up for me. Digestible. I don't know why.
Yeah. But, when you put that in the chat the other day, I meant palpable. Man, you sound like a douche. It's okay. You and I vape. People already think we're douches.
I only pulled out the vape because you're a vapor. That's it. I don't want you in your Subaru to be left alone. Please tell me you drive a Subaru. That'd be fantastic.
I don't. I drive a Jeep.
All right.
But yeah, I was like, you hit the vape. I was like, yes.
I'm a dipper, man. I'm put it in the lip, fill the lip, and have a good time.
Gotcha. That was my army days right there.
Oh yeah.
So we today is Thursday. So Tuesday, the House of Representatives, they did a little vote, and they voted to withdraw U.S. support from Yemen.
From Saudi Arabia, who has been going into Yemen. Yes.
Right.
That is, like most libertarians, I have been railing against the Yemeni genocide that's been attempted by Saudi Arabia. And since I learned of it, and I didn't learn about it until mid 2018.
Right.
But this is something that's been going on since 2015. And the true tragedy here, the true atrocity, is that President Trump has already been a little vocal on wanting to veto this. And I think it's come down to a dick swinging contest, right? President Trump's like, hey, let me pull out of Syria and Afghanistan. And Congress is like, whoa, hey, we gotta be in favor of war here, bud. And then they're like, all right, now that he's not gonna expect this, we're gonna go after Yemen. And he's like, whoa, hey, we got to sell guns to Saudi Arabia, right? It's a couple $1 billion. Let's keep the money flowing, boys.
When so a lot of the media that's hit over the Yemeni genocide that's been going on came after the journalist Khashoggi. Thank you, Khashoggi. I was like, I don't know how to pronounce that name at all. After Khashoggi was murdered by the Saudi Arabian prince, and people were calling for us to have some sort of backlash. And while I don't know if he handled it in the most tactful way, Trump gave the most honest and genuine press conference I've ever seen a president give, where he said, I am not going to destroy the global economy over one journalist. Flat out said it. And I was like, oh my God. That is the most honest thing a politician has ever said, ever. And, big on respects for you doing it. But, man, I could not believe it when he did it. But since then, everybody's been kind of more and more involved in the whole Yemen situation. And I find it weird that Trump, who is negotiating peace deals in North Korea, he's pulling us out of Syria, he's pulling us out of Afghanistan, is holding so strict on this one. And my only thought on it is that he is afraid that if we stop helping the Saudis, then they will immediately start getting help from Iran.
Yeah, it's the entire area there. And back to the speech that you're talking about when he was brutally honest about the Khashoggi incident. He was also saying during there that there was too much money that was being sold to Saudi Arabia through the arms deals. This was something that was started with Obama back in 2015 when this conflict started. And so it showed Trump, and it really exposed him for how money is willing to sell him on values on that front, right? You can say, we're not going to go and destroy Saudi Arabia. We're not going to go and destroy the global economy. Absolutely. when he refused to do that, there was certainly an issue. And yeah, the geopolitical war there, right? We don't want to give up Saudi Arabia to being able to be supported from Iran, or as what the media is going to more focus on, from Russia. Oh, Mother Russia is going to come in and swoop in, and Saudi Arabia is going to now be infiltrating everything, including Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. But I
mean, David Duke's already circumventing that. He's getting out ahead of the Russians immediately.
Oh man, it's such a beautiful battle to watch, like the media hystericalness over everything on this. But yeah, man, it's where does the line get drawn? When do we say, you know what, we have to protect America's interests, and that means protecting America's values, and that's not committing genocide in another country? Like, we got involved into so many different conflicts to prevent genocide. Now we're like, it's okay.
Yeah, this one's fine. This one's fine. It's a humanitarian effort. This one's a humanitarian. What's the difference between that and any other one? But I mean, that was when back during, like, I hate admitting this, but I was sort of, in my younger days, a fan of the Iraq War. And, that was when I was young and stupid. And
it happens.
Right. And I was on a lot of drugs. So, I blame the drugs. But during that time period, everybody was all up in arms and being like, we have to be against this. We have to be against this. But then they were turning around and saying, we need to be in Darfur in order to protect, to stop the genocide that's happening there. And I said, okay, where is your line? Like, you have a genocide happening in Iraq, and then you have a genocide happening in Darfur. Why is that one important? And this one, you're like, no, that one shouldn't be happening. And that's where I'm just like, let them all deal with it. Let them deal with it.
The conflict's only been going on for the last, 5,000 years?
Exactly.
I'm sure we can stop it. I'm sure America and its greatness will come in, put some boots on the ground, and the day will be saved.
It will be.
Drop some freedom bombs on them. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Here comes another drone. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. But yeah, so the House did vote 248 to 147, which is actually pretty surprising. That means a good number of Republicans flipped.
Yes.
Which is surprising. I'm not sure if it's going to pass the Senate, even though the Senate did pass a measure earlier that the House, when it was GOP controlled, rejected. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen once it gets to the Senate. But I know that they currently don't have a plan to vote on this. But no matter what, I honestly don't think it matters because Trump vetoes it either way, in my opinion. Yes.
So I think I agree with that assessment. When it comes to the Senate, of course, we have to worry about turtle, cocaine Mitch McConnell.
Oh, cocaine
Mitch. He's gonna do what he does best, and that's play defense for President Trump. It's I wouldn't say best. It's what he's been doing really well at lately, right? With the last government shutdown, he said, look, if President Trump's not going to sign this bill, I'm not going to bring it up to the Senate for a vote. He held that pretty strongly. With the Green New Deal, like what you guys talked about on Tuesday night show, right? He was just like, oh, you guys want to talk about this ridiculous notion? Like, here you go. Let's put it up. Put your name on there. Put your name up there, boys and girls. He's doing some decent moves for alignment with the president. And I think that this would be another one of those where if the president, who has already said he's willing to veto this, I don't think Mitch McConnell is going to make any movements to make that a concern for the Senate.
Right.
So it's going to be a non-issue. It's just beautiful to see that, and for the media to even just blink and to show that on their screen for a couple seconds to wake up a couple more Americans. I'm all for it.
Right. Real quick on the Green New Deal that Mitch McConnell is putting up. I thought this was just a great troll move, in all honesty. And like, I knew that he was going to be like, anybody that's going to vote for it next time their election's up, they're going to have to answer for being dumb enough to vote for it. But at the same time, like Spike was saying on the show on Tuesday, like, you can't vote against it if you're a Democrat because you'll piss off the AOC does nothing wrong wing of the Democrat Party. But in the 2020 election, I think there are 5 Democratic senators running.
Yes.
So that means that they're going to be out on the campaign trail talking about why they were voting to get rid of air travel in 10 years and 9 years by then.
As they fly from
Right.
location to location to have these speeches.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's a brilliant move to do that because you've got Elizabeth Warren, you got Cory Booker, you got Kamala Harris, you got Minnesota. I forget her name. She just Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar, and the other one,
Kristen Gillibrand.
Thank you. Kristen Gillibrand. And Kristen Gillibrand. All of them are going to have to vote for this, and it's going to kill them on the campaign trail. Like, this was an actually brilliant campaign move for the GOP, for Mitch McConnell to say that this is something that needs to be done.
I think that the big issue that we're going to have is, I'm sure that you and all of your viewers and everyone in America basically understands that the news cycle is no longer on a day. It's no longer on a 24-hour schedule. It's on a 15-minute schedule. So are we going to remember something from 10,000 news cycles ago? It's unless the GOP is effective, and I hope that they would be, right? And during the midterms, they were effective at coming out and showing the atrocities of what Democrats were pushing. If they can use it in that way and show, hey, look, they're trying to rebuild 30,000 buildings each day, which is what would be required under that bill.
Right.
They're trying to say no airplanes, all trains, which is the same text that's written in Atlas Shrugged, right? So we have 1984 and Atlas Shrugged both being the playbook for the left.
Right.
Beautiful. Ending all cows. So we're going to start the movement towards vegetarianism here in this country because if it farts, it's got to be killed. Other than people, of course. People are fine.
Other than people.
Maybe with the gulags, though. We'll see.
Cory Booker, the presidential candidate who's definitely on the down low, allegedly on the down low. I'm not going to say definitely on the down low.
Allegedly definitely on the down low.
He's allegedly definitely on the down low. He recently came out. I don't know if you saw this or not. I was reading it this morning, I believe. But he recently came out and said that he is going to be fighting, since he's a vegan, he's going to be fighting against milk and cheese and meat and things like that. And you're going to try to take that away from Americans. You got zero shot. And
good luck getting a single vote in Texas.
Right, exactly. Like you'll get some in Austin and maybe Dallas. But other than that, you got nothing coming for you. Like, that is not the hill you want your political career to die on.
Him and Kamala are really messing up with the way that they're campaigning early. They're trying to. So whenever you're running a campaign, and I don't know if it was, I think Spike was talking about this as well, but you want to start off broad. You want to get every single person that you can early on. And when you come out like he is for like you were saying, the vegetarianism or the veganism, and when Kamala Harris is coming out and what was her event? She just did something really stupid as well on her campaign. But
the marijuana thing?
No, that was like a media hijinks, not hijinks, but a cover up effectively. She said something stupid in one of her recent ones. I'll find it and I'll send you a snapshot of it. But okay. But they're trying to go straight to the specifics, and this is one of the issues that the Libertarian Party has, is that we go. What we see right now is they go, cocaine, legalize it. It's just like, we still have to win on marijuana. Like, right. we have to win on the one that doesn't actually hurt people, the one that doesn't actually cause like arguably detrimental things to a person. And so Cory Booker, I think, is writing himself out, and Kamala Harris is, by the media, she's getting the Hillary Rodham Clinton red carpet deal. I think, like you were saying on Tuesday, I think she's going to get the nomination. You had said Joe Biden. And I think that he would be a strong contender with the amount of support that he has.
Right.
When do you think Bernie Sanders is going to throw his hat in the ring?
If I had to guess, Bernie will. I mean, he's what, 76, I think, 75,
104,
right? Whatever. So it takes him a little bit longer to do things nowadays. Just based on age. So I'm gonna guess he's gonna. Let's see. If most of us drive at 65, he's driving at 30. That means he'll probably throw his hat in the ring at about June, I'm guessing.
June.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. That's just my guess on that. Because,
No, so I've been watching his tweeters. Yeah, I've been watching his twit. I've been watching his Twitter account, and he's becoming much more politically active right now. At least his account is. Whether it's his staffers or whoever
Right.
it is, they're really getting involved, and they're really pushing income inequality. That dastardly thing.
That wonderful thing where
Yeah. And he's pushing that. So I think we're on the brink of him throwing his hat in again. And once again, a politician lied to us. He's like, I'm not going to run in 2020.
right.
Just kidding, boys and girls. Just like socialism, I'm lying to you.
It's okay. I'm going to run again because the people need me. That guy, he's entertaining if nothing else. I mean, dumb as a stump, but just entertaining as all get out. But I mean, I just can't wait for another round of numerous far leftists going on and on about how we don't need another white male. How we don't need another white male in office, and then start talking about how much they love Bernie Sanders. Like, definitely
Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, those two.
Right.
Two old white males.
Two old
love
white
them.
males. It's
Heterosexual, cisgendered, they don't care. Love them.
Love them. Absolutely love them. They are God's gift to the Democratic Party. But Kamala Harris or Tulsi Gabbard would make a great VP because, women. It's the Me Too era.
Yeah.
They deserve a shot in there. And they,
I'm really sad about the Tulsi Gabbard situation.
I am
right?
sad about it. I like Tulsi Gabbard minus her economics. Like, I genuinely think that she is a nice person. And
Yeah.
I genuinely think that she could do some good. And if there was a GOP Congress in there, she wouldn't get any of her economic stuff passed.
And I'm happy.
Right. Actually, nothing would probably happen. And that'd be perfect.
Yeah. As long as the gridlock doesn't mean that both sides are happy, I'm happy.
Right.
It's the gridlock where they're both like, the budget that's going on right now. Do you just want to get half of what you want? We'll get half of what we want, and it's none of what America wants. Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Let's do that.
The GOP budget, which I believe it was signed today. I know it passed the Senate today. I don't know if Trump actually signed it. But the $333 billion budget, just because, I was actually trying to find stuff on the budget today. That was really, really difficult.
I even made a post about it. I was like, why is it that every article, every news station wants to talk about something, but they're like, should we put them a link in there so that people can go read it for themselves? Nah, it's too much. They wouldn't want to read it.
Right.
Just believe us. Just believe us. We've never been fake news before. We've never lied to you.
We've never lied. Yet the only thing that I can find on the budget, there's only one number that I can find on the budget, and it's $1.4 billion for the wall. And everybody's saying this is less than the $1.65 billion he was offered in December, and he probably should have taken it. Which, yeah, he probably should have taken it. But who doesn't enjoy a good government shutdown? And I mean, minus TSA. But yeah, everybody's like, he should have taken the other one. He's taking less money now. I think this was all part of the plan. Initially, he knew that this was going to happen. They were going to offer him less money, and he was going to have to go out and say the Democrats don't want to protect this nation. They're only giving us money for a 55-mile barrier that isn't even a wall. In it, they banned the use of concrete, which I thought that was weird. And you can only use, in a very Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez phrase, you can only use technology available today. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't, if it's not available today, you can't use it.
We have to invent the things that haven't been invented yet.
Exactly.
Actual quote from her.
Right.
I love it. The woman is so smart.
She must have put that part in the budget. But because of the 1.4 billion people, people on the left are saying this is a loss for Donald Trump. People on the right are saying this is because the Democrats hate us. Nobody's taking the loss, and each people are blaming the loss on the other person.
Yep.
And in all fairness, it's just a complete failure of government from top all the way down to bottom.
Yes. It's how dare you hold people accountable for their actions?
Right.
You need to be a partisan hack and just blame the Democrats or blame the Republicans every time. Yeah, no, I mean this has been if we can rewind to the last shutdown, the media, the Democrats, and a lot of people were blaming Trump for that shutdown. And Trump said that he was willing to shut down the government. So they gave him, or they jumped on that train. This shutdown, unlike the 2015 shutdown, 2013 shutdown with President Obama, and the 2015 shutdown with President Obama, he actually vetoed those bills. So it's hard to blame Trump on those. And I'm certainly not a Trump supporter by a large margin, but I'm just objective about this. It wasn't Trump's fault. It was blocked by the Senate, so it's Mitch McConnell's fault for that entire shutdown.
Right.
Can we at least blame the right party? And if people were willing to negotiate, and neither side has been willing to, now that we've put this trash bill out there, and there's a lot more stuff in there about like the ways that we handle the actual immigrants that came through the border and the conduct, and like you can't shackle pregnant women anymore. And it's just like, why can't we shackle the pregnant women? I want to shackle a couple pregnant women. They can't run now. But joking aside, there's just a lot of, for an 1,185 page bill to be thrown through so quickly. Where is the accountability? Right. Who read all of that?
Nobody.
I think there was one senator that was like, I'm not voting right now. I may vote later, but I haven't read it.
Right. I think
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that I think in the House, one person voted present because he did not read the bill.
Yes.
And nobody else read the bill either. But I mean, one person was at least honest about it and just voted present. As far as, but yeah, like you've got a bill that size.
It was a giant.
What's that?
I realized I was lagging. It was like the first omnibus bill that President Trump had to sign, and Rand Paul was like frantically on Twitter, like tweeting out a bunch of the atrocities within it. Was like, this is horrible. Like nobody's reading this stuff. There's only like 24 hours to read this. No one's going to read this. And it's just like, that was a big wake up call to America that these are atrocious, the way these omnibus bills go, or the way that these resolutions go. And like you had said, this was $330 billion for this budget to being passed. It's less than 25% of the government. That makes it even worse, right?
Right. But yeah, the entire bill got passed, and now, because this bill is passed, and Trump is very upset. I think we just lost Facebook. I don't know how that happened. But we're still on YouTube. Yeah, because this bill got passed, and Trump is very upset about it, and he's saying that this isn't a good deal, and we made a terrible deal, and yeah, they did make a terrible deal. But the GOP is notorious for making terrible deals when it comes to budget time. They absolutely have zero, as Spike would say, chutzpah, when it comes to making a deal. That's got to sound real weird coming out of this face. But they have zero, chutzpah when it comes to making any of these deals. They're just like, no, I'm not gonna. Yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. We just asked for this one tiny thing. And that's what they're continuing to do. Even when they had the power, even when they were in the majority, they couldn't get a budget passed because they were too afraid of offending the people in the minority.
it's looking at the way that here's what I have to give credit for Democrats. Democrats say, I'm going to campaign on putting up ridiculous Green New Deal plans. And then they get into office and what do? They put up Green New Deal garbage.
Right.
Like they follow through most times. They follow through. The GOP's like, we're not going to spend any more for Planned Parenthood. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. And whether they're in the majority, the minority, however they are, if they know it won't pass, they'll be loud and vocal. But as soon as they have the ability to do something, they're like, we got to care about the others. Like you were saying, we got to care about the minority. We can't just bully them into this stuff. And it's just like, why did you get elected?
Right. That's the reason that the people voted you in. They vote. If what you're saying on the campaign trail is true, and you actually care about the issues that you say you care about, if you say you care about not federally funding Planned Parenthood, I'm not saying close Planned Parenthood, I'm just saying not federally funding it. If you're saying not federally funding Planned Parenthood, if you're saying to do tax decreases, if you're saying build a wall, why wasn't any of this handled in the first 2 years? Why have we waited until you lost control in order to be like, no, we need to do all of this stuff now when you have absolutely no ability to be able to do it?
Yeah. It's a lot of, so I know that the GOP strategy seems like they're going for the long game to not, if they fix the problems, they're no longer going to be in office, right? If they fix it's the government justifying the government. So when it comes to the GOP in this way, and so real quick, for the last 2 years when they had the majority, why they didn't get the wall, they didn't have 60 votes. That was their big holdup. And so I can understand them on that one. But when it comes to this now, right, they passed this resolution, and then come September, right, now we're going to have, I want to say it's like 60% of the government's budget runs out in September of this year. So they're not going to stagger this one either. And I'm sure they're going to do a full resolution. They're going to do a full budget. And so they're going to pay off everything that they want, but they're going to have key parts of the government be set up to where they can use it as a crutch again and say, look, the House is not doing this. It's the Democrats' fault. The Democrats won't let us have our way again. Please forget about us when we were in the majority. Forget about what we were doing then, because right now we really need to still somehow fund this wall. Somehow we need to we're going to fight for your Second Amendment by banning your bump stocks. We're going to do we're going to do the things that we kind of said that we would do, and we failed to do. So go vote for us again. And they're like that on everything. And when you look at just how they function, they are just the speaker box. We're going to say a lot of good things, and we're going to do none of them. Right. We're going to sit here and just make a bunch of noise. Yeah. I don't know why Republicans believe in the GOP or conservatives.
I have not understood why they believed in the GOP since George Bush essentially proved he wasn't conservative, because he wasn't. Anytime that you have a conservative president say, we have to, I want to make sure I get this quote right. In order to save the free market, we had to use the government to do something. I don't remember the quote right now. I wish I did. But yeah, you don't save the free market by doing something against the free market. That is actually ruining the free market. The free market is built in, so the free market is supposed to be there without the government, so that the government doesn't come in to try to save it. Because anytime the government tries to save it, that's when issues arise.
Here, I'm gonna make you a free slave or a free person by putting these shackles on you guys. Right. Don't worry.
Exactly.
I can give you a more recent one. The State of the Union. President Trump says, we are a nation that will not become socialist. We will not become a socialist nation. Right. And then he goes, Mandatory family leave? Huh?
Right?
How do you guys feel about that?
Don't worry. I'm going to be the first president to introduce mandatory family leave. And everybody went, yeah, that sounds great. And I went, what? That makes no sense whatsoever.
No, it's just, I wish that I can respect the principles of a conservative, right? I can respect the principles. I can respect their values on some things. But to accept this means that you just have to forego every bit of information that they've ever provided to you. And I think that really, when it gets down to it, conservatives fall to the same victim that socialists do, that communists do, that Marxists do. And they think it just wasn't done by the right people. Like, could we as a collective, could we as the United States of America just say, our government has just not been ran by the right people. Maybe we should stop just messing up everybody's lives and work against it. Right. Let's limit them. Let's stop having them. If we could move back to, sorry to bring up the Constitution, but if we can move back to the constitutional limitations, that government would be a tenth of what it is. A tenth.
A tenth.
And that's like even pushing the limits of what's allowed. And we look at the DMV, we look at the VA healthcare system, we look at all these government-run agencies and departments and programs. And I've asked multiple times throughout my shows, can anybody name one singular department or agency that provides a good or service to the people efficiently or effectively? I'm still stuck with all these crickets. Like, I don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Somebody bring me a lizard. Like, I got to do something with these crickets, man. They're driving me nuts. There's nothing that they can do that's effective or efficient. And certainly that goes down to my borderline anarcho-capitalist roots. But honestly, I'm anarchist. Because why do we hate ourselves? Why do we want to keep our entire populace enslaved with a 40% tax rate? Why do we want to keep ourselves and having Big Brother looking over us and watching our everything and seeing, like, even Facebook? Like, everyone talks about how Facebook is, you have a conversation, me and you have a conversation, and Facebook pops up an ad with what we talk about. The government's basically trying to do the same damn thing right now, and we're just like, nah, it's fine. Visa cards are cool.
It's funny. I was reading how Jeff Bezos, Amazon's famous wiener guy,
he needs to make that department. He does need to make that department.
God, he needs to make that department.
Oh man,
I was reading about how he was railing against the government and against the media for illegally spying on people. And I thought to myself, well, that's really weird coming from the guy that created listening devices and video recording devices for all of our homes.
Hey, wiretap machine, how do I cook these eggs?
Right, exactly. Hey Alexa, the original, the New Day parakeet that just repeats whatever you say to whoever's listening. Emailing all of your private conversations to random people accidentally, which actually happened if anybody didn't know that.
Side note real quick, and I'll let you finish. There was a guy in Florida, I believe it was in Florida. My friend sent it to me. Court case where a guy got his house robbed and asked for Alexa's records of everything that was said to be able to try to find out information on who the robber was.
Right.
And they sent them somebody else's Alexa records.
Right.
So they're not even like efficient with the stuff. So it's just horrible. So
right.
Continue on. Sorry.
Right. But he's complaining about like Big Brother overreach and governmental overreach and the fact that, the National Enquirer's got overreach, like they're going above and beyond in their surveillance of everybody when he is legitimately, I'll throw Google in also. Google is also doing this, but, they are legitimately creating, I forget the name of the company, and Terminator. How did I do that? I love that movie.
It's been years for me.
Skynet. They're literally creating Skynet. Yes. And they are literally creating Skynet. And all of our information is being recorded, and all of our information is being watched, and all of our information is being listened to, and things are being emailed places, and it's all being stored, but none of us care. We continue to have it on, like, we continue to have Alexis. I don't. But,
yeah, me neither.
Right. But, you know, it's like my smartphone. I know it listens to me constantly. There are things that I'm actually kind of terrified that it's heard me say. Because I say off the wall stuff, obviously, for anybody who's seen this show.
You're not a real libertarian if you haven't.
Right. But yeah, he and Google, Amazon and Google, are essentially creating two corporations that are going to be competing with the government on who spies on us better.
Yeah.
The government's doing it to find out if we're doing anything illegal, and then possibly making the things that we aren't doing illegal, the things that we are doing that are legal, possibly making them illegal, and Amazon's doing it so they can sell our information to people, which eventually will turn into the government, like the DNA companies that are selling our information to the government.
Yep. Have you ever heard of the term technocracy?
Yes.
It's not very, you have? Okay.
Yeah,
that's been something that I've been looking into a lot lately. And I know it's really big in Europe right now. And if any of the viewers haven't looked into this at all, it's crazy because it's where you have these technology companies actually coming and subverting the government and ruling over the people. And certainly, right, Amazon, Google, Facebook, all of these platforms and all these different entities are working together to control us and to manipulate us and to tell you what is real news, what is fake news, what is allowed, what's not allowed, and to control the society culturally is to control the society politically, because, you know, politics is downstream of culture. And so we have these issues, and that's certainly something that obviously you've spoken about before, and I've spoken about it a lot. But how do we find an answer? How do we find a solution to the Amazon, to the Facebook, and to that?
Right. And that's just it. Because of, like, you see people come out with different alternatives for Google, and, you know, just as a search engine, and we'll just keep it to the search engine itself.
Yep.
Bing was awful. Bing was terrible. Yahoo, I didn't jump on the Google train for a long time because for some reason I didn't trust it, and I found out why many years later. But so I stuck with Yahoo for a really long time, but after a while they couldn't match the results that I could get from Google.
Yep.
Because Google just keeps storing all of that information and using it. And then you've got DuckDuckGo, and DuckDuckGo stores zero of your information, which is great. But the results that they give you suck.
Yes. I was going to say that one specifically. It's the worst. Like you try to in a Bill's name and it'll be like, nah, bro, that's not a thing.
Right.
Like
that was a thing in 1942. Do you mean the bill that passed in 1942 that had to do with orange farmers in Florida? No, that's not what I meant. Yeah, it is like I tried to jump on that train and I wanted to be, let's break that Google cord and everybody start using this, and, you know, we all have to donate in order to make it work better. But no, if they're not storing the information, they don't know what you're looking for.
Yep.
So
we're stuck in a paradox, really. I mean, how do we break the system from a system that doesn't do the same thing and have comparable results? Like we're almost like shackled to Google, or we could go back to the books.
Right. I was going to say
I can't do that.
To a point, we are all completely shackled to Google. Like currently, right now, you're talking to me over Hangouts. We are broadcasting live over YouTube. I got my notes in a Google Doc. Like, Google is essentially a sponsor of this show.
Yeah.
More or less. And they're using all of the information that we're saying in order to learn more about you and me personally. And the people that are watching us, they're like, okay, so we've got so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so watching, and they seem to be liking what is being said. So they're storing that information as well. They're building massive, multi, I don't know what comes above a terabyte, multi-terabyte drives about our lives just so they can cater the Google searches and what they advertise to us more specifically. When in all actuality, we just don't want to have pop-ups come up, and we don't want you storing our information. More or less.
I gotta get on the control shift in the incognito mode. I'm just gonna run incognito mode from now on and just try to combat it that way. I know that they still keep that crap, but
and that, like, I was on the incognito mode for a really long time. And then somebody was like, they still store that, right? That just means that it doesn't go into your web browser history. So I can look at my porn in incognito mode, and if I, had a significant other who was like, oh, well, why is this in your browser history? All right, well, I don't have a significant other, so I don't care what's in my browser history. The CIA already knows what porn I watch. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? That's the way it should work, right? And if we just run around bird boxing everything, we'll be all right.
And I mean, that's God, a bird box reference. Nice. And that's what Google's running with. They're like, okay, people out there are just going to forget that we exist. Like we're trying to become so much of their life. They're going to forget we are actually the one thing keeping their life running.
Yeah. No, we are. Apologize, I'm choking a little bit.
No, you're fine.
We are nothing but a 1 or a 0 to them,
right?
And that's it,
more or less.
We're a penny in the bank account and a 1 or 0 on their screen, and we're stuck with it. There's no way for us to break free of it. Imagine trying to get elected right now without using the internet.
Impossible.
Imagine smart car without having I say smart, and I feel like it's an oxymoron sometimes.
Right.
Without having anything that's so intrinsically involved with the internet, it just doesn't happen anymore, and we're stuck with this. And I don't know, like, I'm from Alaska, and even out there, like, you have people that don't have running water in their house, and they're like, but we got that interwebs though, yo. Like, let's sit down and watch some Netflix. Like, there's no way for us to get away from this shit. And get away from this stuff.
You're fine. I've said much worse on this show.
Yeah, I didn't know how the PC culture was working these days.
No,
I know
we're good. We're good.
All right.
So I actually just learned that you're from Alaska.
Yeah, man.
Where about in Alaska?
If you know where Fairbanks is, I was about 30 miles north in a little town called the Fox.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about 100 miles south of the Arctic Circle. Stupid cold. Ridiculously stupid cold. I mean, like, when it gets up to 0 degrees, I'm in shorts. Like, pretty freaking cold.
Right.
Yeah,
I lived in Ketchikan, if you know where that is, over the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
What brought you up to Ketchikan?
I got a job offer working at some stupid jewelry shop up there, because that's all Ketchikan is. And yep. And just for the summer during the cruise season. And so I worked there for the summer, had a great time, made some great friends, and then I came back.
You made the smart decision not staying for winter.
Right.
Although down there in Ketchikan, it's not nearly as bad. There's a lot more snow, but a lot warmer.
Right.
Just to give a reference, I don't know what the coldest you've ever been in, but 40 below for about a month and a half, no bueno.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's stupid cold. But yeah, no, I mean, I've lived all across the country. I was a military brat growing up, so from the Pacific Northwest to Alaska Wyoming. Like, you now know somebody was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Like, that state doesn't exist. I believe in that conspiracy.
Yeah, we push that conspiracy here.
See, perfect.
That's gonna be real awkward to tell Spike one day. Jason. Jason was born in Wyoming.
I think I told him on one of his posts because he posted that, and I was like, "Yeah, I was born there." I still don't believe it.
Oh,
exists.
okay, yeah, I remember that. Man, we just went off on a huge tangent, but
we did.
But so now we're gonna get a state of emergency for this wall.
All right. I have to preface this with the wall will not be effective as what President Trump thinks it will, or as what people who advocate for the wall believe it will be. The wall will be a hurdle. It will stop some of it. It will deflect some of it, but it will not have the impact that what is being projected by that side. When President Trump claims the national emergency, there's going to be a huge issue with that. Hopefully, Harry Truman and his him being denied will be the same that happens here. His is obviously a different situation, where he was trying to nationalize the railroad system
right
during the war. Trump's is obviously for an entirely different situation. The precedent that this is a national emergency is, of course, subjective. It's not clear. So he's going to have to battle in courts over that. But can we just agree that the immigration problem, how about instead of trying to stop the immigration, we solve the immigration issue?
Right.
Like, can we do that?
Like instead of just trying to keep everybody out, there may be a better policy, a better way to do this. Like, we may take an Ellis Island approach to things. Hang out for 2 weeks in El Paso. Hang out for 2 weeks in El Paso, get a physical, make sure you don't have any weird diseases that, we don't have here, and that you're vaccinated. Please be vaccinated. I don't care what those people say out there who are anti-vax. Please be vaccinated. Be vaccinated so you're not bringing anything weird on in. And, register and bam, you're in. Eventually. Oh, also, we have to get rid of the welfare state. That's the other big part. If we get rid of the welfare...
And the war on drugs.
And the war on drugs. If we end the war on drugs, if we get rid of the welfare state and we do an Ellis Island type approach, people will stop coming here in droves. Mainly if we get rid of the welfare state and end the war on drugs.
That, and then, if we want to combat human trafficking, let's just make prostitution legal again. Like,
right.
We could easily solve these things if we would just get back to the principle of two consenting adults can do what they want with each other.
Whatever they want with each other.
As long as it's not infringing upon somebody else, as long as it's not hurting somebody else, as long as it's not violating the rights of somebody else, as long as consent is granted, what gives a third party this authority over them? And that would obviously destroy the war on drugs, the war on prostitution, the war on consensual sex. Unless you, here's another side note. So, two consenting adults have sex, no problem.
Right.
Two consenting adults have sex, money is transferred. Huge issue.
Huge issue.
Somebody recorded it and posted online. Suddenly, government's
totally
hands
fine.
off.
Totally
Go ahead.
Fine. Right. I could hire a prostitute, which I would never do. I could hire a prostitute, bring her here to have sex right here, live stream it, not illegal.
Yep.
If I do it
being
one
paid
room,
for the entertainment.
Right. If I do it one room over, I'm a felon.
It's so stupid. Speaking of, did you see that up there in Rhode Island, they accidentally legalized prostitution and watched rapes drop drastically. It was just like, oh, wow, weird. You allow people to transact with each other, and then suddenly there's not a quote-unquote black market or quote-unquote people just breaking the law and infringing upon people. That's a crazy idea.
Right.
Could we apply this and this lesson? Can we learn the lesson of prohibition and just apply it for all substances, for all activities?
Right. For all vices.
That'd be beautiful.
Right. Because, I mean, in my mind, and a lot of people are going to disagree with this, in my mind, somebody getting off of work and coming home and wanting to relax and unwind with, you know, a scotch or a whiskey or something like that, totally legal. In my mind, it is the exact same thing. And I'm going to remind everybody, I've been sober for like 4.5 years, but it's the exact same thing as somebody wanting to come home and unwind and relax by shooting a needle in their vein full of heroin.
Yeah.
To me, it's the exact same thing. Neither one of these two things is a crime. When it becomes a crime is when the guy that's drinking goes out and drives and hits somebody, or when the guy that's on heroin commits a crime in order to afford more heroin. Yep. That's the crime. The crime itself is not injecting the needle or drinking.
Yes, absolutely right. You ever touch on the Portugal topic at all?
How when they didn't legalize, they decriminalized everything, and the amount of drug overdose, they started treating it as a health problem as opposed to a legal issue, and the amount of overdoses dropped, the amount of addicts dropped. People would get arrested for possession because you would still get in trouble for it. Sort of like you would get brought in and then they would say, do you want treatment or do you want to go? And then the people that wanted treatment got treatment. But that treatment is still cheaper than putting people through the penal system.
Yes.
It's not the perfect system, but it's better than what we're doing here now.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's better in every sense of the way. Plus, on top of that, the drugs are being manufactured in a safe environment because the government gets to watch it, and so somehow that makes it more safe. But when you have people competing, there's at least some transparency there, right? If I was doing heroin or doing crack or doing whatever it is, right? There's an opportunity for somebody to say, "Look, I want to give my customers a better high. I want to increase my customer base, and so I want to have somebody overdose." And so, you know, adding fentanyl, adding in drugs that would help induce that happens there. It wouldn't happen in an actual free market where there is transparency, because it's like, you know, even when it comes to marijuana, what we see from people right now is in legalized states, they'll say, I don't need medicinal grade. I can still go to a dispensary, but I can get the lower grade stuff because I just need something to take the edge off. I'm not trying to get messed up. And so giving people an option, giving people that ability to choose, and going off of your argument that it's not a crime for the drug, it's a crime that is committed after the fact, and you can conflate it to the drug, but that's inaccurate.
Right.
There's just nothing there to really stand on the ground that says you get to control the way somebody else lives their life.
Right. And listener, watcher, I don't know, one of the comments, Fotini Henderson says, but prison industries are huge. It's the biggest employer in Wisconsin. It's also one of the biggest employers here in the state of Florida. And that is actually part of the issue. One of the largest groups going against legalized marijuana are the police forces, because that's where they make a lot of their money, is on these minor drug busts. Yep. That is civil
asset forfeiture.
Thank you. I had all three words. They just weren't. They were jumbled. It was like a sentence dyslexia. Civil asset forfeiture. That is where they get so much of the money that they use in order to continue doing things that I personally think are definitely immoral. That is why this is going to be one of the harder fights to end up winning. Like, yeah, like we said earlier in the show, we have to start with marijuana. Once we get marijuana, maybe we can take like the Oregon route and, you know, go with like mushrooms. And then, you know, after mushrooms, it's like, okay, well, now we can kind of branch that out a little bit. And eventually, granted, not in my lifetime, probably. Man, I ain't going to lie. If they legalize heroin, I would probably relapse.
Nah, at least you're honest about it.
I am. it's not about staying sober forever. It's about staying sober today.
Yeah.
That's my entire theory on it. People are like, are you never going to drink again? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to drink today, and probably not going to drink tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I also quit drinking. So, well, I can't say quit. I have heavily reduced my drinking. I might have a beer here or there with dinner.
Right.
But it's never like, hey, you want to go out to the bar and have a couple drinks? I'll go have a beer and hang out with people. I don't want to be like socially awkward and be there with my water and being like, yeah, guys, what's up?
That's a real fun moment, by the way. I have been that guy.
It's no, I've had to be that guy as well. It's just not enjoyable at all. So it's just like, all right, I'll have a beer and I'll at least look like I'm playing the part. And but it's, I don't know. So we went from a wall down to this, and I do love it. But like what you're saying, like end the war on drugs, end the war on poverty, end the war on the welfare state, end all of these. Remove the incentive for people to come here other than to provide a better life for themselves.
Exactly.
If we move back to the constitutional basis, right, we would be at the same thing, right? There's no basis for taking from one to giving to another. If I don't know if you've read the book or not. It's a real short one called It's Not Yours to Give.
Right. I haven't read it. I think I have it behind me, but I have not read it.
Oh, man, it's a beautiful one, man. Horacio Bunce in that book just lays it out to Davy Crockett in such a beautiful way. He was like, look, it's literally not yours to give. Don't take the money from one person to give to another. Don't starve a family in taxes just to give to somebody that's going through a hardship.
Right.
Don't cause the hardship to save a hardship. And we have to be moving back. And I know, like, us libertarians, us people that are in favor of the individual and all that, we see this. And the struggle has been, how do we get more people to open up on this? And this is actually what I really love about Spike's show, is taking on people and being like, I'm an anarchist. Let's go. I'm going to talk to you for the next 2 hours. And
if it's only 2 hours, Spike must be tired if it's only 2 hours.
Yeah. But, if I can move the needle in some way with you,
right,
it's a success.
Which, I mean,
need more people like that.
Right. And I mean, that's the joke that I've been telling him because, I consider myself, much like you, a constitutional minarchist. I almost put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there, and that was going to sound real weird, but a constitutional minarchist. And, but the longer I've been doing the show with Spike is I'm leaning further and further into, I see why we don't actually need the state at all. Like, I've been more of like like, I get it if you want a local government. I understand it. I get it if you want, if you move to a town with the understanding that they have a local government, that's fine. You're doing that voluntarily. If you move to a town that doesn't have a local government, you are doing that voluntarily. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But I'm getting kind of to the point where I'm like, do we really need the old Gulfport City Council? No, not really. I'm kind of getting there. If they ever parse this back and I ever run for city council here, I'm pretty certain they'll bring that up.
That's fine.
You said
just blame it on their ineffectiveness to be proud standing Americans, and
right.
Do we really need people that are not the best? That's why I'm running to represent much better. See, you just turn it around.
Just turn it around on them. Right. It's all about spin. So we actually have big news to announce.
Uh-oh.
If you're ready to announce this news.
I am absolutely ready.
Okay.
I've been excited for this.
Okay. We actually have big news to announce. I'm actually very pleased that I'm the one that gets to announce this. Starting in March, Jason, Mr. Murica, the Bearded Truth, will be airing on Muddied Waters Media on Mondays and Fridays. So yeah. So this is actually his first show on Muddied Waters Media, and he is actually the new host of of his own show on Muddied Waters Media. So we are going to be having a show every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for all of the watching, listening, and viewing pleasures of everybody out there. And we're giving you as much of a spectrum as we possibly can across libertarian ideals. So we're actually very excited to have you on. When Spike and I first started talking about it, it didn't take us long to be like, yeah, this seems like it would be a great fit.
I am so I'm probably going to give too much information, but it's fine. 2 nights ago was when this conversation started, and I was laying in bed, and my wife was like, well, why are you getting all giddy? Why are you getting all excited right now? I was like, don't you worry about this woman. This is man stuff over here. And it's truly an honor. And I hope that I can slide in seamlessly and really provide the same quality that you guys provide. And I'm beyond grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to getting to know all of the viewers and having a big old giant Liberty family.
Right,
it's gonna be beautiful.
No, and you know, like, this is like the first time you and I have actually like spoken, and the way the conversation went, I was like, this is gonna work out so well.
I think it's gonna be great because we all have our differences. And we all have our strengths, right. and I think at the end of the day, America's gonna love us because we're gonna be changing hearts and minds out here.
I know we're the face of we're the new media. Like, everybody's getting tired of your Fox Newses and your CNNs and your MSNBCs, and they're turning to people like you and me because, well, either they make really,
objectivity.
Right. It's either they make really poor decisions or they make great ones. I haven't really decided which one it is yet, but. Yeah, like, it's truly an honor to have you on my show, and also to be able to say that you're going to be one of the host of the new Muddied Waters Media show.
Dude, oh man, I feel like I'm winning an award right now. Like, it's it's fantastic, man. I'm beyond stoked, and I cannot wait. I know we're gonna grow together. We're gonna do bigly things. Eventually, Trump's gonna have to, he's gonna look out to the people on one of his State of the Unions and say, Muddy Waters Media, it's the best. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. They've got a bigly audience. Yeah, but yeah. Again, thank you so much for coming on. You have a show tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m. Eastern. They can find that on the Tube of You and on the Twitter?
Yes, sir. Yep. If you guys find me on there on Twitter, Twitter and Periscope, you can find me at Mr. Bearded Truth. YouTube, I haven't hit the 100 subscribers yet, so if you guys want to hook me up with that, we do have the link posted down below.
Yep.
But if you guys want to help me out with that, that would be super appreciated, because I do want to change that to also being Mr. Bearded Truth. Find me on there. Tune in for the show tomorrow night. We're going to talk a little bit about what we talked about tonight, and go on and grow in a couple other little events around the country.
Beautiful. And then next week, we've got a brand new episode of the flagship program, Muddied Waters of Freedom, on Tuesday night. And then Spike will have a brand new episode of My Fellow Americans on Wednesday. And then next Thursday, I will be right back here with an all-new guest on for whatever this show, the Writer's Block. We're getting so many, I'm having trouble keeping up now. I'm forgetting my own show, but for the Writer's Block next Thursday. So all new episodes coming up, and then starting in March, we're gonna have Mr. Murica, the Bearded Truth, on Mondays and Fridays as well. So just a full week of Liberty media, just trying to get you to see that mainstream media sucks.
Yes.
Fotini Henderson says congratulations, and she says that she needs you here. She's listening in on Spike Cohen's, but I need the whole rainbow. Felt like I jumped in the deep end of the pool. Oh, she doesn't understand what... I think she means she doesn't understand what Spike is saying on his show. And that's fine. I don't understand what Spike says half the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if we had subtitles, it would be like mumbles and anarchist.
Right. Mumbles and anarchist. I'm going to put that up under his picture next time. It's going to be mumbles and anarchist.
He's going to be so mad.
He's probably going to laugh at that, but just be a little bit upset. Everybody else, remember, you can follow this and all of the Muddied Waters media shows at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Muddied Waters Media. You can find us on the Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom and on Twitter at Muddied_Waters. And this and every single episode from Muddied Waters Media is available at muddiedwatersoffreedom.com. I did that out of order and it messed with my brain so badly.
But you nailed it, though, nonetheless. Nailed it.
Give
me my gold.
Right. Woo. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Hang out for 2 minutes, and we'll talk after I end this stream. To everybody else, we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, and if you happen to not be single and lonely like the host of this show, have a great Valentine's Day.
I am swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, 'cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, 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 I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help.